What do you want to do?
I don't know. We don't have an intro. Welcome, everybody, to the Glacier Gamble Podcast, episode 40. That's huge. That's awesome. That's amazing. Episode 40. This is our entertainment and Marvel section. We have a lot of good news for you today. We got apparently Marvel is interested in starting a Nova project. We got some Moon Knight, a couple more clips from Moon Knight. Got a famous actress who wants to play Lady Deadpool, and both Joe and myself are not interested in it. We have some other things, like apparently a very pedophiliac relationship that Marvel wants to start. Some Morbius critic reviews. We got some Blade news, Secret Invasion, and then we got some miscellaneous news with the Batman and some toys. It's Fortnite and one other thing. So let's jump into it with the Nova news. Nova, very big character, like somebody that you expect a huge name to play because they're going to be in many things.
In Spider-Man Far From Home, while he is on the plane flying over to London or wherever it is, it's got the movies that they're showing on the flight. One of them is like a Nova thing. It's like a little Nova picture. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's like a Nova biography or something. And that was like a tease.
I was in No Way Home.
In Far From Home.
Far From Home.
It was a brief thing. It was like Understanding Iron Man Far From Home was set after Endgame.
Yeah.
So it was like Understanding Iron Man, Wakanda, something, like a bunch of different movies, and one of them in the far right was like Nova. There's a little tease there, but obviously Thanos went to Xandar to get the Power Stone, and we don't know what happened there, and we want to know what happened there, and so that's where I believe the origin of Nova would be.
A prequel with Thanos.
Yeah, so it's a way to bring Thanos back and see what happens.
And Thanos, we've talked about this before. Thanos is supposed to be returning in multiple more projects.
Yeah, so whether it's a young Thanos in regards to Star Fox's story,
yep,
or Xandar. I mean, we got to see what happened on Xandar.
Yeah, they're talking about doing a potential prequel story with young Gamora and young Nebula. Yeah. So that would be another young Thanos moment.
Sure, younger. I mean, we talked about this, I don't know how long ago, but we talked about this a long time ago, and we said that it would most likely be Richard Ryder because they want an established hero, because then at some point he could pass the torch down to Sam Alexander. So,
it sounds like that's what a lot of fans want. They eventually want Sam Alexander.
Sure.
But yeah, both you and I thought it would be Dick Ryder the whole time.
Oh yeah,
I think it'll be good. Obviously, Brandon Davis has campaigned. He wants to play Nova. He's talked about that a bunch. I don't know. That was one of the ones that Henry Cavill was rumored on. That's one of the ones that Keanu Reeves, big names like that. Those aren't necessarily who I would pick or who I think's gonna be it.
Right.
But it's names like that are rumored for Nova, because Nova's supposed to be huge, because it's the power of an entire Nova Corps in one person.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be big. It sounds like it is not even confirmed whether or not it's gonna be a movie or series.
Yeah, or Disney Plus series.
Most likely is gonna be a Disney Plus series, is what is the early rumors.
Right.
But I'm guaranteed it's gonna be both. I think it's going to be a series, its own series, and then in movies.
Sure.
Probably the series being the prequel, and then the movies being modern.
Sure.
Yeah, assumption. Okay. Well, then we'll move on to the next thing. So this is the weird pedophiliac relationship I was talking about.
Right.
Kate Bishop, it's been in the comics. She was, called out by America Chavez for being...
Right. Am I the only straight one here? It's
and
I see the way you look at me.
Yeah, you're not that straight.
Right.
But she is, she claims to be straight in the comics, and in the older comics she is. But, they could always move forward. A lot of people wanted her and Yelena to be a thing, and I was like, I prefer them as just good chemistry. I like them better as banter and friends, but people want relationships like that. But apparently the rumor came out that America Chavez and Kate Bishop will be a relationship. Kate, for those who don't know, Kate's character is supposed to be 22.
Yeah.
America Chavez's character is supposed to be 15.
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld herself is 22.
Yeah.
ish. The actress playing America Chavez, the actress playing America Chavez.
Xochitl Gomez.
She is 15 right now.
The oldest iteration you ever see of America Chavez in the comics is 17. So they have never portrayed America Chavez older than 17. Whereas our MCU Hawkeye is 22. So America Chavez has never been a legal adult in any iteration in any Marvel story ever. So I don't know about this.
I felt very uncomfortable when I read that. You said that and I was like, yep, that was my first thought too. She's supposed to be super young. It was another one of those that it was the original source of this information was another one of those pages that is literally huge following, like 50,000 followers, but they just throw out rumor. They don't say per source, they don't say per this, they just say rumor. And this is one of those ones they threw out there, but it gained a lot of traction. And so obviously might not be real, but this makes me really like, some people were saying like, this is perfect, I love this. I mean, it doesn't have to be right away. They can like get to know each other, and then in 3 years when the actor's 18, it'll be fine. And I'm like, oh, so you want her to groom her? Like you want Kate Bishop to groom her?
There's a lot of LGBT representation coming. Like so the people that like you are getting, you're like Thor: Love and Thunder, Valkyrie is getting a same-sex partner, which is like that's coming. You have Multiverse of Madness, and I believe the conclusion of that will be Wanda getting her kids.
Eternals.
Eternals. Yeah, you have that. Wiccan. Billy. Yeah, Billy. He's like eventually like their stories will connect with Secret Invasion as well. You'll find a Kree Skrull offspring, Hulkling, and then Billy and Hulkling will have their story too. So
when the X-Men come in, Iceman will be gay.
Yeah. So you'll get your like more representation, LGBT representation is coming. Marvel heard that, but they can't just instantly be like, we're just gonna do it like that. Like they have it's a universe they're building. It's a story. They have to insert X story here so that Y story can happen.
And they can have it like Kate when they're like, oh, you're not that straight. You can have Kate be bi.
Yeah.
And she can she can end up with a man but still be bi. She can end up with a woman and still be bi. It's just I would rather her not groom a 15-year-old, and I would rather her not just straight up be dating a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
In terms of these rumors, I don't believe them because of that.
They have no connection right now.
First of all, they have no connection. Second of all, there is not only a 7-year age difference, which is totally fine. It's the fact that 7-8 year age difference drops somebody down to 15 years old.
Yeah.
Like the MCU is not shot in Tennessee. It is shot mostly in New York. What is Tennessee? That's the one that age of consent's 14, right?
Yeah, it's like Kentucky.
Yeah, this isn't shot in Kentucky, okay?
Right. They're not cousins. It's just...
it makes me very uncomfortable because just the idea of that, I don't like that. If she was 18, I'd be like, okay, I just want to know the connection. But the fact that she's 15, I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see who Valkyrie's partner ends up being. I'm pretty sure they're going to end up making Captain Marvel a lesbian as well.
Right.
Or bisexual, one of the two. But
she's got a little weird thing with Logan at some point. But...
Star-Lord's already, what is it, omnisexual, I think is what they phrased it.
All those aliens and stuff.
Yeah. So they have a lot of representation already.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with them bringing more in. Just not 15-year-olds, please. Yeah. I don't want them to make that, because there's no way Disney will do it. Disney's there's so many issues with the topic of grooming and that sort of thing. There's no way Disney will do this.
Yeah, I'd rather they're like, when I thought about this, I was like, yeah, like Kate and Yelena's relationship is like chemistry based, but like if there was an accidental kiss, and then I feel like Yelena would be like, what are you doing? And then Kate would be like, oh God, like maybe I like that or something like that. That's how I see it.
I would prefer Kate and Yelena remain just friendly.
Yeah.
You could make both of them end up with women. I just don't want them to end up with each other.
Sure.
Just I like them better with their current dynamic.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense from like Elena's standpoint, I guess, because like she can't have kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's what I mean. That's what I can say. But I don't want that like forced upon me either. Like if it happens,
it's already so good. I think
Yeah.
making them being in a relationship kind of ruins their current dynamic.
Like they can love each other but not be.
I also love the idea of heroes not having partners. I love the fact that if you can take love out of it, take love stories out, I'm totally fine with that as well.
Yeah.
Like I get sometimes like Peter Parker needs his Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy needs her Peter Parker sometimes too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of instances where characters can love each other but not be romantically involved. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Iron Man and Peter Parker, like they loved each other, but you could see their relationship, their connection. Just like Elena and Kate can love each other by the end of their story, but they don't have to be together or in a relationship.
Yeah, Groot and Rocket love each other.
Yeah,
they're not a romantic relationship.
Yeah,
totally okay with it, just not 15-year-olds. That's my stance on it.
Right.
Let's move to the next topic, which is it's a Sony but still Marvel. So Morbius is something we've talked about multiple times in the past. Big fans of Jared Leto, Joker. Talk later, by the way. But Jared Leto apparently, you know, he had a lot of speed, like he had a lot of sway in terms of the character Morbius. Apparently he wanted to do primarily CGI. That was his decision, or a big part of like his input. You know, he did a lot of research for this role and that sort of thing. I'm very excited for it. I thought he was going to kill it. Early critic reviews are in. Critics are not loving it. Apparently critics are being very harsh, saying it's the story is muddled. Was one I saw one saying the acting wasn't good. I have a hard time believing the acting thing. I would believe the story thing more.
Well, I think Sony in general, I don't think Sony has fully grasped the concept of comic book movies. And I mean, like, well, Spider-Man's so good. Spider-Man is made by Marvel, like it's made by Disney, and the flaws with, say, Venom or Venom Let There Be Carnage were story-based, not necessarily acting.
Right.
So yeah, I 100% believe the fact that it could be a story problem, but I don't like even the trailer, like the acting looks fine in the trailer.
Yeah, it does.
Even just like a 2-minute stretch. So.
Right. It doesn't look like you're watching. It doesn't look like something where the acting in every character is supposed to captivate you.
Right.
Morbius probably should, but yeah. I don't know. I don't want to feel like, because I'm biased, I feel like I want to defend Morbius because as soon as Jared Leto got cast, I was like, okay, people are going to hate it. They're going to say it sucks. First critic reviews are going to say it sucks. Well, that lived up to that. The critics don't like it, and I guarantee a lot of it is because Jared Leto isn't liked a lot amongst a lot of the media. I don't know. I'm not surprised because I was expecting this. The other thing, though, that did really rub me the wrong way, there's an actor in the movie whose name is Matt Smith, who plays Loxias Crown. He was talking shit about the movie. He's in the movie. Movie's out now, so now he just feels open to do this. Sure. He says that the writers didn't give him a good enough background, so he was confused on who his character was even supposed to be, what he was supposed to do with his character. And then he said that after the movie was over, he's not sure about what his character is supposed to be like for the future. My response to that, I responded pretty quickly. Isn't that the job of an actor? Part of it is to help develop their own character. So is this guy saying he's that terrible of an actor that the writer has to give, here's the background, here's a full outline of who your character was before you became this character, here's exactly what we want you to do, here's this exact facial expression we want you to make, and by the way, after the movie's over, this is exactly what. Right. Like, that's the whole reason books sometimes are left open-ended. That's the whole reason, like cliffhangers, like it's up to the actor to create this character. That's how, like, you really think they told Heath Ledger, this is what we want you to do with Joker. This is then you shouldn't say Heath Ledger's great because that's all on the directing. That's all them. That's all Christopher Nolan, obviously. Right. Like,
the only thing I could see is if they did, I do think that you need to give him something, and I don't necessarily believe that they didn't give him even the minorest of, like, this is kind of where the direction we want for your character, especially like if you did read the script, like you did have like a small interaction. Like there's a small interaction when they're younger, right? Because they're the same school, the same school of kids. Like he was bullying the kid back then, so like you take that into like a now we're grown-ups in the same situation, like you're still gonna be like a douche at some
right
point. Like,
well, and
so
you're the great benefit of having either a character from a book, a character from a previous show, a remake, a comic book, that's something you can research yourself.
yeah.
Like, is this the new Finn Jones? Like, you just don't want to put in any extra work. You just want to go in and be expected to have like. It really upset me because I was like, first of all, you already got paid and the job's over. That's why you feel comfortable talking shit now, is because it's like, oh, they can't take my money away. But not only that, but you're also talking crap. Like, if you really didn't like this role, then you shouldn't have done it. Like, if you, and then
I mean, Tyrese plays the other like cop detective thing, and he's said nothing but good things about it.
What a surprise! A guy who's known for being a good actor in the past, a guy who's done voice acting and has been able to take a voice acting character and move forward with them.
Sure.
Weird. He's actually able to develop his own character. If I was if I were a casting director and I saw an actor make a comment like this, like they didn't give me enough information on a character that I could research myself,
right,
I would never want to hire that guy. I would never want to hire this dude.
And here's another thing, like even if you like you like BS your way through a scene, either they're gonna like it or they're not, and they're gonna tell you the direction that they want. Like if you go into the thing and you're supposed to just order a coffee, right? Like hypothetical, this is 100% hypothetical. You're going into a diner, you're supposed to order a coffee. That's what your character is supposed to do. They only give you that, like that's the only information they give you. You go in there and you're a complete asshole to the person, right? They're gonna be like, cut. Actually, you're supposed to be super nice in this specific scene. So you're telling me like that didn't happen if he didn't. Like, I don't know.
Speaking of, supposed to go in and get coffee, you go in and you get coffee, and your original direction was to kind of like act a little excited, but instead you look like you're gonna break down and cry because you thought that's what your character should do in the moment, and then direction thought that was a better idea. You know, maybe like, I don't know, maybe you have like somebody whose mind, the memory of you was just erased from them. Like erased from their mind, so you think that it's better to do a broken heart. You know, I feel like I've seen that happen recently. Right. You know, maybe taking control of your own character and moving in a direction. Right. That's what a director is there for. You're supposed to work with them. Yeah. I could not believe this story. Like maybe I was having a rough day, but even bringing this back up gets me upset. Like. Sure. This is somebody who took a job from somebody who might have been able to do a better job, because this is not the comment of somebody who was happy to do the job while they were doing it. Right. Which is why now critic reviews are coming out that the story wasn't good, or the story was kind of iffy. Well, that's because the actor didn't know how to portray the character, so maybe that, like, I just... Right. No, I hear you. Oh, it gets me going. But so yeah, I still want to see this movie, but my expectations for Loxias Crown are going to be super low, and I'll probably have it'll probably be portraying in my mind, like it'll probably affect how I feel about the movie when it's done. Be like, oh yeah, Jared Leto and Tyrese like really outshined this dude. But yeah, anyway, that happened. Let's continue on to our next Marvel headline, which is so we got Multiverse of Madness. I think we went a week or two without it. Surprising. Yeah. So Black Bolt is reportedly, not rumored, reportedly, so there's actually a source that Black Bolt will be returning. And it'll be the same guy from Marvel and Inhumans. Anson Mount, yeah. And he'll be playing Black Bolt. So we don't know if it's like a multiversal version. Yeah. Or
it's definitely not going to be the same one. It can't be for my
Well, I mean, with Miss Marvel coming out, we don't even know if Inhumans exist right now in our universe.
But if he's in there, which I mean, that's what I'm saying, back to us talking about Miss Marvel last week. If it ends up just like pulling her Inhuman like thing, and that's her Inhuman ability, and then she gets exposed to Terrigen and she can do it herself. But
right.
Anyway, but you would release Inhumans before Miss Marvel comes out, which I think is ideal.
I agree.
So I mean, I thought Anson Mount did a fair enough job, in a horrible TV production.
Hey,
dude, they took all the characters and they're like, what? Well, what's their power? And it's like, well, I mean, Black Bolt like can't speak, or else like the power from his voice will disintegrate people. And they're like, okay, so we're just not gonna have him talk the whole time until the very end. Medusa has hair that can attach. We're gonna buzz her head so she doesn't have hair anymore. It's just, they just like took the powers away from all the people. So one of those writing things, but Anson Mount in the small amount of lines or small amount of things he had to do was good, I suppose.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people were happy about it. My only thing was definitely the Inhumans. Like, what are they going to do about the Inhumans?
Right.
Because
if you have
Marvel's
some random
not
guy, obviously you're not going to have him talk,
right?
Like you're not going to have him talk, but Professor X could probably speak for him, you know? So,
oh, sure. Yeah, somebody with telepathy.
Yeah, so Professor X could speak for him, and then he could be like, yes, this is I forgot his name.
This is the leader of the Inhumans.
Well, I forgot. Yeah, keep going. This is the leader of the Inhumans, yeah.
So I don't know. I totally fine if they want to have him be a multiversal version.
It's Blackagar Bolt again. Sorry.
Blackagar Bolt again?
Yeah, Blackagar Bolt again. I'm pretty sure that's his name.
Okay. Well, I think that's definitely one thing they could do. I think that'd be great if this is how they introduced humans, and then they made it as though Miss Marvel, like the Gauntlets, brought her powers to the forefront. Terrigen,
if it's a Terrigen Gauntlet or something. Like, yeah,
something like that. I think that would make it all close. They would tie a bunch of loose ends. They would make everybody feel better about Miss Marvel, and they would be able to still move forward with the Inhumans. What if in the
Marvels they're going off planet and they're exposed to Terrigen, and then now Miss Marvel's Miss Marvel without her.
And the Inhumans is a group you want to use. Like, they're a good group of heroes.
Oh, absolutely.
If Marvel wants to make as much money as possible, you don't want to leave the Inhumans out of the MCU.
Yeah. And
with Thanos being so popular, I always think of Thane with the Inhumans, so I would just be they should do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Black Bolt reportedly being in, I think that all signs lead to that. The other one is something we've actually already talked about.
You got Quake too, which is huge following for her too. So
Mike's one of those. Mike, our buddy Mike, loves Quake. But yeah, the other reported person, another non-rumor actually reported is that they will be replacing Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. That was
sure. I fully expect a cameo of him. I think that's one of those things. Like, this is gonna be a ton of nostalgia, but it's also gonna be like Scarlet Witch is killing everyone. But yeah, I can see them do I mean, we've talked about this before. You're gonna bring in all these characters from other universes, but at some point, those characters have to exist in our world.
So it's probably gonna be set not after Logan then, because he's supposed to be dead.
Well, I mean, yeah, Sir Patrick Stewart also said, like, the X-Men movies, like, he dies like twice in all those movies. He basically said that all the Fox movies could potentially be from different universes.
Sure, so Logan doesn't have to be X1.
Yeah. So Logan doesn't have to be tied to the first X-Men, or the Wolverine doesn't have to be tied to Logan. Like, who says that Wolverine has been in 10 movies or whatever, but it's not all set in the same universe? Essentially, what Patrick Stewart was saying.
So because that's what I'm saying. Because like, you could have Logan, you could have a Wolverine show up that thinks Professor X is dead.
Right. Yeah, because like there could be a universe where like Professor X died, and then you have a new Wolverine, or you have Hugh Jackman come in and be like, "How is this possible?" Like,
I do expect a cameo too.
Yeah, basically, Sir Patrick Stewart said that the Fox universe and all their continuity, which was flawed anyway, he basically said, like, who's saying that those are all the same universe?
So Sir Patrick Stewart can provide that wonderful insight, yet he can't remember if he's in a movie.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, basically saying that the Fox universe could be from a bunch of different universes because the continuity doesn't make any sense. So
I think that's a really nice way to have an easy way out.
Yeah. So Fox is probably like, just say that so we don't look bad.
You already look bad, but we'll say it.
Yeah.
I think, and then I think Taron Egerton will probably be the new one because that's the huge one. He's mentioned it twice now. Daniel Radcliffe was just asked about it again, and he's like, and he said he's to the point where he's gonna start answering non-truthful answers because he doesn't want to answer anymore. So he's gonna start messing with people. So expect some fun quotes out of Daniel Radcliffe. We need Daniel Radcliffe in the MCU. It's just I don't think he needs to be Wolverine.
Sure.
But he can play. I mean, he could play Gambit, but I think Channing Tatum will be Gambit. Oh, speaking of which, little side note, Multiverse of Madness still. Channing Tatum was just asked about if he will be an X-Men, and the look of disappointment on his face.
X-Man?
Will you be an X-Man?
Yeah.
And he was just like, I'm not yet. He just looked dejected, and it was like, this is after that interview where he talked about how disappointed he was.
Sure.
So it was like, you could see the pain on his face.
Right.
He clearly was ready to be Gambit. He was so ready for it. He has a new movie coming out with Sandra Bullock, and so they were doing like a bunch of pressers, and during that one of the pressers, he was asked about it. And I was like, no, he looked so sad. He was like just in the middle of laughing back and forth with Sandy B, and just immediate goes from laughing just not yet. Like it just I was like, you're pulling, man, you're pulling at my heart. I felt bad, but I hope he eventually is. Otherwise, like, Taylor Kitsch was good. I don't know. I want them to move forward with like clean shaven, eccentric. Because did you ever see Free Guy?
I did see Free Guy, yeah.
Okay. Channing Tatum's character there. Small but fun. It was good. I think Channing Tatum has a wide range.
Ryan Reynolds said that he wished that he had more Marvel Easter eggs in there. He's like, I wish I had Mjolnir for one of the things.
Not just Cap Shield.
Yeah. He had an Iron Man gauntlet too, or something like that.
Man. They had Iron Man stuff. They had Cap Shield, and he wanted to do. There was a couple others that he wanted, and Disney said no. Yeah,
he wanted Mjolnir, but he is doing a Free Guy too, and it's made by Disney anyway. So like, there's still time. There's still time. He'll get probably get the Infinity Gauntlet or something. Like it'll be fun.
We'll see what he does. The first one was pretty solid. But anyway, Multiverse of Madness news. There was some, and I do think we'll get. So the report was that Wolverine, the new Wolverine, which has been in the past, that we'll be getting a new Wolverine. The report is that this one will be replacing Hugh Jackman's.
Right.
So
we'll get our first mutant, essentially, right? Is that what you're saying? Like at the end of Multiverse of Madness, I'm sure we'll get mutants throughout
our
the
first
story,
official mutant.
But our first MCU mutant.
Well, yeah, and like because we've had MCU mutant, they're not official because technically Wanda is one.
Yeah.
Our first official ones.
Yeah.
Cool. This one has kind of been, debated a little bit on the internet because some people are like, "Oh, I want her to play this role," and some people are like, "Oh, I want her in the MCU, but I don't want her to play this role." Bella Thorne, famous for many things, she wants to play Lady Deadpool. She said, I read the comics and I see myself in this character so much. I want to play it. And she's done 2 interviews already talking about it. I tweeted out, you said no thanks or something. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I tweeted out unpopular opinion. I don't want her in this. And I don't really want a Lady Deadpool or a Gwenpool.
All right.
I don't want those characters at all because a lot of people are like, no, I want Blake Lively to play Lady Deadpool, and because a lot of people want Ryan Reynolds and his wife to be on the same, like in the same.
I think
thing.
that just takes away from Deadpool, and I don't think you want to do that at all.
I don't think you want to do that either. I think Deadpool is good as is. Lady Deadpool takes away, basically dilutes Deadpool a bit. And then if you add Lady Deadpool, you're probably going to add like a Gwenpool too.
Yeah.
And now you're diluting it even more. I'd rather. So this was my thought, but I instead of posting my thoughts online, I figured let's put in the podcast for the people that actually listen. And, I want them to bring in more obscure characters like Domino, or focus on characters like Domino and expand them more. because I loved Domino. I thought I didn't know who Domino was before that movie, before Deadpool 2. Deadpool 2 comes out. My wife, who doesn't like superheroes, thinks Domino is amazing. I watched it and I was like, no idea who that is. I want more Domino. I want more characters like that. Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Right. Nobody knows who that is unless Deadpool comes out.
Right.
Negasonic. By the way, we talked about LGBT relationships. Negasonic Teenage Warhead has a girlfriend. You can bring in the very obscure X-Men. You can bring in these random obscure heroes, and Deadpool is also an opportunity for you to honestly bring in Marvel MCU original ones that don't have any comic books. Like Deadpool is a perfect universe for that I've mentioned before.
But I think Deadpool has so many stories anyway that you can do. Like you could do the like Deadpool kills the Avengers. Like you could do Deadpool kills the Fox universe. That's something they've talked about, I believe. Team Red, where he teams up with a bunch of red heroes, Daredevil. You got his whole thing with Spider-Man. Like
everybody wants him with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like, that's the one fans want the most.
Yeah, so you've got all these things. You got him for a run where he does join the X-Men and like actually joins the X-Men, fights alongside them. You've got his like Deadpool's obsession with Wolverine, like that. Also something can happen too. So like, there's so many avenues that Deadpool can do, and Ryan Reynolds obviously does it amazingly. So I don't want to pull away from that because I don't know why Disney would want to pull away from that.
I also don't see Disney hiring a sex worker as the lead actor. I just like nothing wrong with sex workers at all, but Disney has shown they're not going to hire anybody with a checkered off-screen issues, anything like that. I don't think they'll hire Bella Thorne because she has an OnlyFans. I just don't think they will. Not saying that's why I wouldn't. Wouldn't because I don't think she's going to wouldn't be very good in the role. That's just my opinion.
I don't think you need to take away from Deadpool. I don't know why you would take away from Deadpool.
You dilute the character so much.
It's the second highest grossing R-rated superhero movie or like comic book movie of all time. So like, why would you want to pull away from $1 billion franchise to add the knockoff character?
Right, and it's not even like you're improving. You're adding to it. You're not improving.
Yeah.
So I'm against it.
No, thank you.
If you want to bring her in, maybe, but like I said, I don't think Disney will hire somebody that posts nudes online regularly. I just don't think they will.
We do, but I mean, like we're not signed under.
Has Disney hired us?
No,
exactly, because we post Richard picks all the time. Next Marvel story is around Moon Knight. Moon Knight.
Less than a week away.
Yeah, 2 new less than 1 minute clips were posted today or yesterday. Today, I think, on the day of recording. One was called Skills and one was called Protect, and it just provides more views of Moon Knight, more stuff. We just more and more because he's literally right around the corner. What was it? Is the 30th?
Yeah, 30th. Yeah, Wednesday, next Wednesday.
And Kevin Feige came out today saying that he's been wanting to make a Moon Knight show for almost a decade.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so good. You guys be ready.
Excited.
Hawkeye, everybody had low expectations and became one of the most fan favorite shows so far. Yeah. Be ready for Moon Knight to be labeled as the best one since WandaVision, the best one since Loki, and it's a lot of people are gonna say this is the best one yet.
Yeah,
obviously their goal is to improve with all the shows, but 6 episodes.
I mean, some stories aren't going to be as captivating. It's just how it's going to be. So
I don't think Miss Marvel's going to be as popular.
Yeah,
I think you're going to see a huge drop off in viewership from Moon Knight to Miss Marvel, or Miss Marvel is going to have people riding the wave of Moon Knight, so it'll be more popular than they expect.
Sure,
something like that. Miss Marvel's also supposed to be only 6 episodes. But yeah, Moon Knight looks amazing. I mean, we got to see a portion of Mark Spector without the mask. Like we got to see him taking over the body without the uniform on. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it should be interesting to see where they go with the show. But man, I am jacked.
Yeah,
I am jacked.
I'm jaked.
super jaked.
Yeah.
And John.
We haven't seen any of Jake Lockley. Like, we haven't seen that third one.
We will.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're hiding it, is because there's something big with Jake.
Sure.
Next one.
I bet there is.
Oh yeah. Probably huge. Packing. Next one is something we've talked about in the past. Emilia Clarke is in Secret Invasion. Everybody knows that. Set leaks. The last time we talked about it was because those set photos was leaked. She was wearing a bunch of green, so everybody's like, "Oh, she's gonna be this and this and this and this." Well, the new news rumor came out that she's gonna be Lady Veranke.
Yeah.
And that is a Skrull
Queen.
priestess or queen. Yeah. At one point disguises herself as Spider-Woman. In the comics, she eventually gets killed by
getting somebody like Emilia
by
Clarke.
Norman Osborn. Thank you. She gets killed by Norman Osborn.
Getting someone like Emilia Clarke, you're not going to have her have a short stint. So I mean, we've talked about this before. I don't think they would do necessarily the Skrull Queen, even though it's blowing up all over the place. I still think with her green getup and like even like green like tints in her hair, almost like, I still think Abigail Brand. But that's me. That's my guess. Still,
I think so. A lot of people are leaning towards this Lady Veranke thing now, apparently because of the rumor. I think so. You and I talked about this. She is a huge name.
Yeah.
She is a recognizable face and somebody you probably want to like move forward with because of her skills and recognizability. And Lady Veranke is a huge character. She's like top 5 important Skrull.
Yeah, super Skrull. That's the only one I can think of outside of her.
Right. So somebody that, if that's who she is, she'll be in multiple projects, which is what's expected.
Yeah.
However, you're now covering up and she's now no longer really that recognizable.
Right.
As like, you don't know that that's necessarily Emilia Clarke. I mean, you didn't really think that about Josh Brolin, but it also allowed Josh Brolin to play Cable because it was kind of like two separate things. And the way they have Hulk, you can still tell that's Mark Ruffalo as Hulk because of the way they run CGI. Same with She-Hulk and that sort of thing. Like Skrulls, you can't tell because it's prosthetics and CGI. Like it's pretty intense. In the set photo, she wasn't wearing prosthetics. It was just kind of like the outfit. So I also agree. I agree Abigail Brand is more likely because you get to see her. It's still a character that is big, and we just talked about it with the Multiverse of Madness segment. It's mutant. She's mutant. Right. So with them bringing in mutants, it's likely that they'll bring in more mutants.
Yeah, I also think going forward, they're most likely going to be at like a sword base.
Yeah.
A possibility of a sword base out in space.
Because that's where Nick Fury's apparently been this entire time.
Yeah. So, which I think it was also, I was watching a video, I think it's really weird that the detective that was interviewing Peter Parker in No Way Home also just randomly said Nick Fury's been off planet for months now. How would he know that?
How would he know that?
Scroll. Anyway, I think if they do, I think that a possibility that they could do, and they could like what they're doing with the Marvel projects, right? They're gonna make a new Daredevil, right? They're gonna like bring in Punisher. They're gonna bring in Jessica Jones. They're gonna bring in all these like old shows and kind of revive them almost in whether it's different projects or whatsoever or whatever. I think they could do a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing going forward as a revival to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You could bring some of those characters back, and I think Abigail Brand would be the leader of said story of said Agents of S.W.O.R.D. So
sure.
That's just one theory I have, and you'd have Emilia Clarke run that show, figuratively and actually.
Literally.
Yeah. Literally. I can't say it. I always never try to say literally. It's like literally.
It's all right.
Little Italy.
We mean what you know, man. It's all good. Yeah. Well, my vote is Abigail Brand. The more I read, I could see Lady Veranke, but I think that would be a waste opportunity.
Yeah.
The last Marvel story that we have is set with Blade. Apparently, Blade is supposed to be set in the 20s and 30s as well as the present.
Yeah, so I saw this. This has kind of been blowing up all over the place. But it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense because the Black Knight has been in the comics for generations, not just the present day with Dane Whitman and the Ebony Blade. And vampires obviously live a very long time. So who knows how old Mahershala Ali's Blade is going to be at this point?
690 years, I think.
Nice. Maybe like 420
or 20. Yeah, probably.
So yeah, it makes sense if he's alive back then to kind of like be with the other Black Knights in trying to defeat the vampires, and him being a vampire himself. So I think he's got some of the lore that Dane Whitman doesn't necessarily know, and
which is why he's there.
So
why he also knows who Dane is and knows about the sword
Whitman,
already.
Yeah, the Whitman family. So maybe, and he probably needs help because there's probably another like uprising that he needs the new Black Knight, which Dane Whitman doesn't know he's gonna be that yet. So
right, and he's like, help me. Wesley Snipes keeps trying to take my time.
Yeah.
Gosh. Somebody thinks, I saw some people say that Wesley Snipes is gonna be part of the Illuminati and Multiverse of Madness. I don't believe that. Yeah. I think that's such BS. Yeah. I definitely do believe that that makes 100% sense with the 20s and 30s.
There's some backstory with it.
And we kind of need that. And nobody really knows much about Black Knight, especially just the casual Marvel fan.
Yeah,
a lot of people that watched Eternals, which was not a very probably one of the worst received movies so far outside of Black Widow in Phase 4. A lot of people didn't understand what that was. A lot of people didn't even know that was Mahershala Ali's voice. Yeah. A lot of people didn't even know what the sword was. Yeah. They just a lot of people didn't know, and I think you're gonna need something to provide the background more than just Eternals 2 or something like that. You're gonna need a background, so I think Blade provides that perfect opportunity. I think it makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for Marvel news. We got just our miscellaneous section, and then we'll send you on your way. The first piece of miscellaneous news is that
save the best for last.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay. First one is Faker's the GOAT.
Yeah. I guess I haven't really been paying. We were going to pay attention to the LCS this year, but then TSM is just dog water, so we just haven't been. Yep. I mean, slight controversy around them, but then they went and beat the first place team. So, but we're still garbage.
We are still garbage. Yep.
Faker, better known as the GOAT of League of Legends, took his team to an 18-0 regular season, which is just remarkable. I mean, it's hard to do that
consistently.
And so he's won, I think, 3 championships so far, and poised to do another one. So, I mean, I'll always respect him. And him and Bjergsen are my top 2.
He started hot a couple years ago, and then they did not go far in the championships, Worlds. So Worlds is a long ways away.
Yeah.
So metas are gonna change. Yeah. Certain champs are gonna get stronger because I mean that's a huge thing to me with the LCS and just pro league in general. Some you see some players like Licorice.
Right.
Some people are talking about him potentially being one of the best top laners in the league, and now the meta has changed to where nobody would say he's even top in NA anymore.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Licorice, he's just been playing Fiora. He played Fiora, and he's 2-0 on Fiora. Nobody knows how to play against Fiora. So
yeah, that's the thing. If the meta changes, certain people like Zion Spartan was a super good top laner, and then the meta went away from Jason Riven, and he didn't know how to play. And he couldn't play tanks.
Same with Viper.
Yeah, they can't. They have to play in specific metas, and so maybe it changes to the point where Faker's teammates fall off, that sort of thing. You never know.
Yeah, but right now they're hot right now.
They're basically outside of LEC and LCS, Faker's the only other person I root for.
Right.
Because people want dynasties. So yeah, Faker is the GOAT. And if LEC and LCS can't win, then I hope Faker wins another one.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Next miscellaneous topic is that it involves Fortnite.
Yeah, so me and my girlfriend have been playing Fortnite for just every so often we'll play a match or something. I re-downloaded it because building is not a thing. And so that was what I believe to be my flaw back in the day. I couldn't build to compete. Like I couldn't compete in building castles or ladders to the sky. I couldn't do that. So yeah, no building. And we played some matches, but Doctor Strange and Prowler are in there. So I just want to, that's cool. I mean, Marvel's still keeping their connection with Fortnite.
As long as it's going to maintain a big game, it provides free advertising for both.
Sure.
I think it's smart. It's a good partnership based on, I mean, that Spider-Man thing was huge for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still don't plan on re-downloading it.
Yeah.
It's just not really my thing.
Right.
I agree the building wasn't very fun, but it is also what made the game like unique.
Unique, sure.
So, but we'll see. I probably won't.
Sure.
Last thing though is the big fun miscellaneous news. So in the Batman, there was like the Riddler and Penguin were the big villains, and you know all that jazz. Well, today a deleted scene came out from that, which was an interaction between Batman and Barry Keoghan's Joker.
Yeah, so
and it was like a full on.
Yeah, just a 5-minute interaction. This does imply that Bruce Wayne Batman has like previously has a previous story and has already captured the Joker.
Yeah. Yep.
So like Riddler's not his first villain. He's already captured the Joker and put him in Arkham, but he needs some crazy lunatic's thought process and figuring out what the Riddler's,
which is slightly strange because they portrayed the beginning of the Batman portrays him as like a young Batman who hasn't had much experience being Batman, so he doesn't, that's why he's Vengeance. He doesn't even go by Batman yet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's more story. I mean, we still haven't seen it, so
yeah. But people are already reacting.
It's always the internet. Always.
As soon as I saw it, I knew. I was like, first 50 comments are going to be Heath Ledger's the best. Yeah. Still not as good. Oh, I hate this. God, I'm sick of this. I hate this. Well, I was right. Like at least the first 5 to 10 comments on every single one of them was, I'm so sick of the Joker. You know, the Batman has other villains, right?
Right.
His laugh was terrible and cringy. Heath Ledger's was the best. It was just all, it was all negative.
Right.
And it's like, and we've talked about this before. You're shitting on somebody's art.
Even with Pattinson, like Pattinson, everyone was shitting on him right away. Then all of a sudden, oh wait, the Batman's good.
What? Like this is genuinely like saying that Heath Ledger is the best one and that no Joker will be good anymore, so they should just move on. That's literally like I like painting and drawing and all that sort of thing. That's taking like a famous painter, Bob Ross for a recognizable one for everyone, and saying that anybody who does a painting that isn't Bob Ross is terrible.
Yeah.
So you're telling me like Van Gogh, you're telling me like modern or abstract painters, you're telling me these people all suck.
Yep.
Because they're not Bob Ross. Like it's the equivalent of that. Right. It's the equivalent of saying, because they're given the same parameters. They're both given a blank canvas with something to put out. Then they're given guidelines on what people are looking for.
Yeah.
Like a commission. Barry Keoghan is provided, okay, it's Joker. It's Joker. There's your painting. Go at it.
Right.
This is a Joker that was clearly the vat of acid storyline because he was.
Yeah, either that or Matt Reeves, I believe, stated that like it possibly could just be a skin condition that he has.
Well, if you played the Arkham games, which he's in Arkham right now, if you've played the Arkham games, in one of the games, the storyline is that he is dying of poison, and it is deteriorating his skin.
Right.
He has a blood condition that's deteriorating his skin. He's literally like falling apart with lesions and stuff.
Right.
So it could be something like that. Because in that storyline, that's heavy with Harley Quinn.
Right.
So if that's what the storyline they go with, that means they'll probably bring Harley Quinn in, which would be a popular move. Like They could be doing the Vat of Acid storyline, or they could be doing the Arkham game storyline with him being poison.
Yeah.
I personally, I liked it a lot. Yeah. I'm slightly biased because I'm a big fan of Barry Keoghan since the Eternals. I've really liked him in that, and I've just been watching other things he's done. It's been really good.
Sure.
I don't know. I just think it was good. His laugh was good.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with it.
It was really high pitched, and I mean, I've said it before. My favorite laugh is Cesar Romero. His is like this really high pitched, clown-esque laugh, and Barry Keoghan went with that high pitched, but it was maniacal, like somebody who had lost their mind.
Yeah,
and he was like sickly. His voice was like sickly, twisted. I thought
he got his accent in there a little bit.
You can
hear it. You can hear him in there.
Well, and that's hard because he's trying to do an accent and a voice at the same time. He's not a trained voice actor. He's an actor. So you're asking an actor to be that level of voice acting as well. So it is difficult.
Right.
So
you even got he did get the Heath Ledger like lip smack like that.
And when they zoomed in on his lips, they're basically peeled back because they like go up to his teeth a little bit. They look very deteriorated and like melting away almost, and he's got the scars all over, and the back of his head is like boils and pus. It was he was mangled. And he asked him for help. The Batman asked him for help with figuring out who the Riddler is, and he basically just psychoanalyzes Riddler and the Batman all at once. And like people are like, why are they oversaturating Joker? That's why. The Joker is the Batman villain. Like he is the biggest Batman villain. He is the one that I wanted them to do what the original plan was with Dark Knight, which was basically have 6 movies and the Joker be the villain in 5 of them.
Sure. Like
the Joker should be this overarching villain that the Batman can't defeat. Like he should be Sherlock's Moriarty. He should be the villain that keeps beating you.
Sure.
That's the Joker to me. This Joker to me seems like they might run it with him being kind of like in prison. The sort of the word mind melder. I can't remember the name specifically, but from the DC Comics, where basically he's just kind of running things from prison, and he shows up, but he's not going to be the focus. So like the next one might be Mr. Freeze, but the Joker will show up for a few scenes, and then the one after that'll be Poison Ivy, but the Joker will show up for a few scenes.
Right.
Like, he doesn't necessarily seem like he's going to end up being a primary villain.
Right.
But he wasn't bad enough to the point where I would say he shouldn't. He wasn't bad at all. I loved that scene. I thought that was incredible.
I watched it a couple times today already too.
Same. Yeah. Well, and I've noticed a pattern. A lot of people that haven't seen the movie, a lot of the comments that said they hadn't seen the movie said they loved it.
Right.
So I think because you and I have yet to see the movie, also I realized watching that scene, I'm going to wait to see the Batman until it's out on DVD or streaming.
Right.
Because I need subtitles. I had it on full volume with headphones.
Yeah, I was trying to understand what he said, and then after I watched it a couple times, I was like, okay.
Well, for me, it was like Robert Pattinson. I couldn't hear him, and so for those who don't know, I'm slightly hard of hearing, and just mainly this year, I was struggling. I was having a very. I have subtitles on my regular television, YouTube. I have subtitles on all the time because I need them. I struggled. I could not, and none of the clips had subtitles.
Right.
And sure. I was very much struggling, so I have to wait because there's no way I'd be able to see that in the theater and know what he's saying. I had the same. Lord of the Rings was that same way. I had to watch Lord of the Rings a couple times, and then once I finally saw it with subtitles, there were scenes that I was mishearing the words.
Sure.
Because I need them. I have to have them.
So they are releasing the Batman 46 days after release on HBO Max, so April 19th. So you most likely will have to. Do you have HBO Max?
No.
Using someone else? Okay, so you have to come over. We'll have to watch it.
Sure.
April 19th. So that's when it comes out. So
I can do that. Just as long as you guys are cool with subtitles.
Yeah, I'm fine with subtitles. I don't think Taylor will watch it. It's too scary.
A lot of people just don't like subtitles because a lot of people that I watch movies with that say they don't want subtitles. I end up reading them. I want to watch the movie. It's like, well, You can still watch the movie and read them. It's not like you're missing the movie.
All right, no problem with subtitles. So.
But anyway, I think Barry did a great job. He has green hair. We saw Barry had green hair.
Yeah.
So that was one thing, because I mentioned that in a previous episode that I don't think they'll do a purple suit. I don't think they'll do like a bright purple suit, because like obviously that's what I want. I want bright and colorful, and that's just not what they're gonna do with this.
Right.
But he did have green hair. He didn't really have any makeup on. He just looked pale.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. I think he looked great. He sounded great. I honestly don't think he'll be the primary villain of the second movie. I saw a lot of people saying he will. I don't think he will be.
Yeah, I'd like to see some other villains. I want to see. I mean, Pattinson wants the Court of Owls. I want Hush. So I mean,
Hush would be good.
Yeah.
I think, personally, the Riddler is one of my favorites, so they already did that. Penguin's getting a spin-off, so I think I would love to see Poison Ivy, especially in this dark, twisted. Like, you could make her be pretty disgustingly, like you could make her kill people pretty graphically. Yeah. So I think Poison Ivy would be good in this universe. But I agree with Hush for sure.
Yeah. Since Hush is like the new wave, like big bad villain for Batman, just
for like modern comics.
Yeah. So
the only last little, I guess, tidbit that I have would be that Samuel L. Jackson says he would never work for DC because none of their storylines are impressive.
Okay.
He said, "I've never looked at a DC script and been impressed."
Yeah.
And I would say I'd have to agree so far. We've talked about that. So
I mean, you can say Matt Reeves isn't DC, I guess, because DC is Warner Brothers. So you can say that Matt Reeves isn't Warner Brothers because it's his own thing. So
yeah. Hard not to agree. Anyway, that's it for us. We'll send you all on your way today. I'll see you in episode 41 next week. 40. This was a big one, so thank you all for following along on this journey here. You all look fantastic today. GG.
GG.